what we'll basically cover is to start off with XAT 2013 structure, because finally you're going to take that test. But what we'll basically do today is to look at XAT 2012 and find out some critical learning or key learning that we can apply to the XAT on January the 6th. In the XAT, there are one of the section which is very different, which is decision making. So what I'll also do is spend some time in questions or type of questions which are only seen in the XAT. So that's what we would do. So let's kickstart. So this is the XAT 2013 question paper. So it is broadly divided into two parts. The first part is 140 minutes, three areas. One is quantitative ability, second is English language ability, logical reasoning and decision making. Though the XAT does not clearly tell us the number of questions, but basically what we understand is that it will be anywhere between 85 to 95. In XAT 2012, the number of questions were 85, so it should be around that range. The difference between XAT 2012 and 13 is this, that in XAT 2012, last year, the first section was 120 minutes. So here you have 20 minutes more. So that's section A. And then you have the second section, which is for 40 minutes, where there will be general awareness questions, and there will be an essay. That general awareness is a new addition to that. What is expected is to be a pink paper type of questions. When I say pink paper, it's one of those economic times and mint kind of questions, so economics, socio-political issues, and so on and so forth. What we understand is about 20 to 30 questions, and there will be an essay. Typically, last year, the section B, which was the essay section, had 20 minutes. So another 20 minutes got added for the 20 GK questions. The other thing that we know is that for an overall percentage, or percentile, the overall percentile, what will be counted is a section A, which is quantitative ability, English language ability, and logical reasoning and decision making. GK and essay will be evaluated separately. So that's what we know about the paper. And also the fact that some of the schools may not even evaluate section B, but one has to take the safe side. So when you look at the paper, you should take all the section in all the seriousness. Is there any questions? Let me pick up some questions. Because there is question is there a definite fixed time limit for access section A and B? Yes, there is. So the first is 140 minutes, wherein you will be asked to answer QA, verbal and logical reasoning and decision making, and then you'll be given 40 minutes to answer other two. So it's will the interview call be based on DI question will be along with quantitative ability. There is no separate section. In fact, in XAT 2012 last year, there were 4 DI questions. And so this is basically and largely the general awareness and essay will come into the picture in your second round, which is the interview and GD round. So how exactly, what is the weightage, that is something that they don't disclose, so we don't know. So the safest thing is to do well in all the sections. Okay. So let me move on. I will answer about sectional cutoffs and all. I'll answer that. I picked this up from the XAT website. You can read it. I'm sure you would have seen it. Can someone tell me what is interesting here, and something that will impact us in this text? The thing that is basically is this. It is a pen. it is not about diverse background. Yes, all those are important, but what is important for me in my test is that it's a pen paper test. So you have an mark sheet and basically have to mark your answers using pen. What does that basically mean is that once I mark it, I cannot erase it, right? So it's like once I'm done with the question, I've marked it and that's it. If it was a pencil, I could have erased it. So that's something that you must keep in mind when you look at the XAT paper. Yes. So what we'll basically do is understand what is the kind of score that we should look at in each of the sections. What is the kind of approach that one needs to have in each of the section. To do that, let me first go to XAT 2012. So this was how XAT 2012 was. Like how it's going to be in XAT 2013, there are these three sections: decision making, English language and logical reasoning, and third is the quantitative ability. What is interesting to note in this in decision making, there was no analytical reasoning questions, or there was just one set which was analytical reasoning. Almost all the questions were decision making. What XAT says is that that's a section of both decision making and analytical reasoning. So in XAT 2013, you can expect analytical reasoning questions as well. But anyways, this is how the XAT 2012 paper was. So 25 questions in decision making, 32 questions here, and 28 questions. What is also what other thing that is there are these differential marking schemes. So you had a 1 mark question, a 1.5 mark question, and 2 mark questions. So if you add up everything, 30, 35, and 35, it totals to 100. So that was, and 120 minutes were given, and there was 1/4 negative marking. So that's broadly the structure or the pattern of the paper. And there was an essay, and 20 minutes were given, and 350 were the word limit for it, right? So, what I need to understand is how much should I score? Is if I look at the cutoff in XAT 12, so I have taken the BM. BM is a business management program or the core MBA program. XLRI also has a PM and IR, which is the HR program. So one thing that you straight away notice is that you do have section-wise cutoff, and then there's an overall cutoff, and that cutoff is largely a percentile cutoff. So what XLRI, for example, BM is saying is that I will look at all those students who got 80 percentile plus in decision making, 70 percentile plus in verbal, and 92 percentile plus in QA, and overall percentile of 88 in the entire paper. So this is a PM and IR cutoff. For the XLRI. Somebody wants to look at the previous slide, so let me just go back to the previous slide once. Yeah. So that's the cutoff. Any questions you guys have, you can put it on the chat box. Prakar is asking what is a pink paper. Pink paper is a pink newspaper, your Economic Times mint variety. So your general awareness questions will be largely, if you are in the habit of reading such kind of papers, then you will not find it pretty difficult to handle the section. There was no separate time limit for QA, LR, and VA. So let me just go back to that slide once. So you're basically given 120 minutes, and you're free to do what you want to do within the 120 minutes. And all you have to do is ensure that you clear the cutoff. Let me, to understand this cutoff better, let us do some data interpretation first. So I basically put a bar graph. So this yellow thing is a total marks. This is the cutoff of BM. business management, and that's a cutoff for PM and IR. What you straight away notice is that you are not expected to solve even 50% of the paper or 50% of the marks. The overall cutoff is about 29%. If you look at DM, the cutoff is just 6. So basically what you essentially need to do is get about 8 questions right. Even in verbal, the cutoff has not crossed 50% of the total marks. And QA, the cutoff is about what? 30% of the overall marks. So basically one of the things that you must understand with respect to XAT paper, and in fact, let me also add that the XAT 2012 paper was supposedly the easiest paper in comparison with the rest. So you can imagine how the paper would have been other papers. So this, and one of the things that you also noticed with respect to the paper was there were a lot of 1-mark questions. And what I've seen in the XAT 2012 paper is that a 1-mark question, a 1.5-mark question, it is more challenging than the 1-mark question, and the 2-mark question is more challenging than the 1.5-mark questions. So largely, you would basically see that your marks eventually is going to come from the 1-mark questions. So I put one more graph here for your understanding. Here I've just taken the number of 1-mark questions. So for example, in DM there are about 19, I believe, 18 1-mark questions. So even if you look at the 1-mark questions, it is still about 50% of the 1-mark question that if you can attack, you should be able to clear the cutoff. I must also bring in a little bit of caution here. One is in XAT 2012, there's a 20 marks extra. So the cutoff may be 1 or 2 marks more than what is given here. Secondly, the cutoff necessarily does not mean the sure seat in the XLR at the end, because finally you are evaluated on your score, your interview, your essay. So I think you must maximize your score as far as possible. So basically a learning that we can take from here is the fact that when you look at a XAT paper, I'm not expected to solve all the questions. So this is my suggested plan. Obviously, it is not necessary that you have to stick to this. The first thing that I will basically do, the first thing that I want is to spend some time going through the paper, because XAT is known to give surprises, and if you go with a pre-decided strategy, what might happen is that the paper may give you some sort of a surprise. So it might be a good idea to take about, I have taken 5 minutes on the higher side to glance the paper, but what is objective? I need to figure out a broad plan, action plan. Okay, so this paper is different, or this paper is very similar to what I've done. This is what I have to do broadly. So just to understand what you're getting at, I suggest that you must spend some time in the beginning to go through the paper. Then what I'm saying is that 140 minutes, I want to spend and break it down into 2 parts. 120 minutes and then another 15 minutes. And what I want to do with this first 120 minutes is to basically clear the cutoff, which basically means that my objective, and I've divided it equally, and I'm not suggesting that you go through this order only. You can choose whichever order that you want to do. But my objective is that let me get at least 10 marks out of the 35 marks in DM, decision making. Let me get at least 20 marks in verbal, or let me attempt at least 20 marks, and let me attempt at least 13 marks. So my whole objective in that 120 minutes ensure that I'm able to clear the cutoff. 2 things might happen after the 120 minutes. A, you're confident that you have cleared cutoff, or B, you're not confident that you have not cleared cutoff, let's say in 1 or 2 areas. Then you can spend the rest 15 minutes accordingly, the last 15 minutes. either by maximizing the score, maybe adding another 5 questions for somewhere. Maybe you've seen that verbal question, one RC passage, which you felt you could manage. You can go back and do that. Or maybe there are these 2-mark questions that you want to attempt. Maybe quickly about 3 to 4 questions you want to do. Whatever is that thing that you want to do at the end. Or you might say that, okay, I've done well in DM, I've done well in verbal, but I don't think that I've done well in quant. Let me spend a little more time in quant, and then do the cutoff. So what I want is to have a broad plan to say that one objective I have is that by hook or crook I have to clear the cutoff, and second is that once I'm confident that I've cleared the cutoff, and try and maximize the score. So this is a suggestion. What I could advise you or encourage you is that what I could encourage you is that in the next mock, in the mock that you're taking, try and stick to this kind of a plan. So I've been there's a lot of questions that I'm getting. So I also have mentors with me, Varun, Rajiv, and Arpit. They will keep Arpit, they'll keep answering your query in the chat. Yes. So this is my broad plan. So let me before I move, let me take a few questions that you've asked. One question that is asked is that duration increase from 2 to 2 hours. Does that mean paper is difficult? One thing that you can be very sure about is that is going to be completely unpredictable. The second thing that is that if the paper is difficult, I don't have to worry at all, because if the paper is difficult for me, it's going to be difficult for all. What is important is to clear the percentile score, and this marks that I'm saying is a broad marks based on that 2012. There are negative marks, yes. There is a question. There is another question which is I'm applying for general management program. That is 1 year full time. So is the expected program for those candidates. The general management program, the cutoff will be lower than the cutoff here. I'm not too sure of the exact cutoff, but I'm sure I can get back to you on that. Okay. So and the difficulty level of the paper as compared to CAT, you will find the paper slightly different from that of CAT. Therefore, you will feel that it's challenging. I will not say it is difficult. I will say it is different, and because we are not used to this kind of questions in XAT, some of us may find it challenging and end up saying that probably the XAT as a paper is a difficult paper. Yes, there are a lot of questions. And yes, the cutoff here means cutoff for XLRI. Obviously, I'm assuming that all of you taking the XAT is aiming to get into XLRI. So I will share this PDF. Okay, so not a problem. The cutoff of other institute will be much lower. So if you aim for XLRI and if you fall little short, at least you can hit other institute. So let me move on and give you some. What I'll do is so there are a lot of questions as to what to do with DM. Don't worry, I'll go each area and get into depth of it. And let me assure you that by the time you leave the session, you will have at least a clear idea as to how to attack all these sections. So let's start with a smart XATer, a guy who will eventually crack the XAT. I believe that we'll have 5 things. One is it's a pen paper test, so corrections can't be done. So be sure when you mark the answer. Another thing, I would also like to say something. There is a habit for some of the students to mark the answers in the question paper and then keep marking in one shot. I would advise against it, because if you make one mistake and then you mark about 10 questions and you're doomed here. So what I would really encourage you is that as soon as you answer a question, keep marking it. Okay. Second is absolutely no panic. And let me assure you, when you're going to see the XAT 2013 paper, there'll be some kind of a shocker. You look at a question and wonder what the hell is this. but no panic, because always understand, when you are facing a problem, everybody else is facing a problem. When you feel you're getting screwed, everybody else is getting screwed. So it's okay. So what you need to do is, what you essentially need to do is absolutely no panic. Go with a cool mind. There are a couple of you saying that I'm not audible. Just a quick question to everyone: am I audible? You can just put yes in the chat. Thanks. So, okay. Thank you. Okay, fantastic. So let me move on. Third is go with an open mind. When I say go with an open mind, we do have a pre-decided plan, but don't try and stick to it. Be open to anything. And one more thing that I will also encourage you to ability to gauge the possible cutoff and create an action plan. And this becomes important. For example, I look at a DM section. I see I should be able to understand. ठीक है, 10 चलेगा, 5 करना है, 25 करना है. So have a sense of gauge the possible cutoff. So this will happen if you look at what I will encourage you here is to solve the past year's XAT paper and look at the cutoff and get a sense of what could be the likely cutoff. So this will help you plan the section better. Fourth, I'm going to bold underline this: selection only after reading. This is going to be very, very crucial. This is going to be is basically going to be very crucial. Selecting a question only after reading. Please don't look at a question and simply select it. I will spend a little more time on this anyways. Okay. And lastly, whenever you're reading something, you have to read it with an objective to understand, because almost all the questions in the XAT, be it decision making or even quantitative ability, it's going to be a little lengthy. And the mathematics behind it, behind the maths question, is not so difficult, but you need to understand. So you should be able to read it very, very objectively. So let me kickstart with the XAT paper. So what I'll now do is go section by section. So I will go back and forth with the presentation and the XAT question paper. So I'll start off with an order. I'll take the order: decision making. Then I move to English language and quantitability. I will also spend some time on essay and give you probably some kind of a guideline as to handle an essay. So let's start with decision making. So what you essentially see in a decision making section or decision making question is that you will see this case, and this case could be about a situation in organization. A case could be about situation in somebody's personal life. It could be anything. So largely, situation is about some sort of a situation. It's a case study, the length of which could go to even one whole page. It could be 1 paragraph, 2 paragraph, 3 paragraph, and you are essentially asked certain questions based on that particular case. 4 things: either it is about identifying a problem or the problem, or understanding the decision criteria, or 3, evaluating alternatives, or 4 is providing solution. I will explain all these things. Whenever there's a case study, there's a situation, and the first, one of the most important thing is to identify what the problem is. If I can give you a crudest example, let's say I have fever. Now, fever is not really the problem. The fever is the symptom. The fever could be due to anything. Could be a common flu or a viral fever, or maybe typhoid, whatever. So understanding the problem. So identifying the problem is one of the things that you need to do in a case study. Second is decision criteria. On what basis, or what are my parameters in which I'm going to decide on solving the particular problem. What I'll do after this is actually to take what I'll do after this is actually take one case and explain these 4 things. So there is one case which is beautiful, which will help you understand these 4 things. Third is evaluating alternatives. There are 3-4 solutions. Which is the solution which is the best one? So whenever you evaluate alternative, it is always against your parameters in which you're making a decision. And then finally is providing a solution. So there are 4 things. Either you are identifying a problem, or 2, you're understanding the decision criteria or parameters. 3, you are evaluating alternatives, or 4, you're trying to provide solution to that case. One of the crucial things that is going to happen in the case is, if you our target is to solve about 10 questions. Last year, in that 2012, there were 8 caselets, and some of the caselets were little lengthy. So one of the most important things about decision making is decision making. I have to make a decision which are the caselet to solve, and one of the things that I must not do is go by the length of the case. There is little correlation between the difficult level of the case and the length of the case. Length does not determine whether the case is difficult or easy. It is basically determined by your comfort level and the kind of content in that case, right? So let's look at how do I make the decision. What I'll first do is, whenever I see a case, I want to basically take the decision as to whether I want to do it or not. So I'm going to, 2 things are important: the case itself, and second, the kind of question that is being asked. So I will basically skim through the information a bit, understand what the case is. If I'm feeling comfortable of the whole case, and I will check the questions, roughly just glance through it. If I'm basically comfortable, and then I'm going to commit to it. Once I commit to the case, what I want to do is to read the case little carefully. When I say carefully, not line by line, is basically take the important core information that I want from the case and then convert that information to certain actionable point. So what we'll now do is solve one question. So I'll go to the XAT 2012 paper. Okay, let me take this case, this particular one. In fact, this is the longest of all the case. This goes to 1 page. This is the longest of all case. So let me. I'm going to read this case, and I'm going to pick the important information and see if I can answer. So I'm going to read this. Technic group of industries had businesses in different sectors, ranging from manufacturing, construction, fish farming, and hotels. These different businesses operated as semi-independent units managed by the unit level managers. Technic's management had an internal consultancy group called the Business Advisory Group, known as BAG. The 15 experts in BAG were hired personally by Mr. Technicwala, the owner of Technic, who wanted this core group of experts to help his organization grow fast without facing the typical growth hurdles. Most of them were specialists in the fields like law, information technology, human resource management, and operation management. Almost all of them had experience spanning decades in the industry. Whenever any of the units faced any significant problems, the unit level managers would put up a request to for help to BAG. The problem ranged from installation of internal MIS systems to financial advice related to leasing of equipment to handling of employee grievances. So in this whole thing, it's just a story. So read it like a story, but take out the critical information. One of the information is there is a BAG, and they are experts, and they would essentially handle almost all the cases in the organization. So this is one of the stud group in the company, and it is personally the owner himself created this group. So that's the information in paragraph 1. So let's quickly go to paragraph 2. Over a period of 20 years, Technic's revenue grew from 100 crore to 10,000 crore with guidance of BAG and due to Mr. Technicwala's vision. Given his reputation in the industry, many people wanted to start their careers in BAG. Often young MBAs fresh out of B school would apply. However, their application used to be rejected by Mr. Technikwala, who had an experience for people, who had a preference for people with extensive industry experience. Two critical information that I can gather from here. One, the company moved from 100 crore to 10,000 crore. That is one role was BAG, another was our owner's vision. And the second thing is that our owner will only take people with experience and does not take young MBAs. Third paragraph. Now some story is going to change. So read it like a story. You will find it very interesting. Things changed after the unfortunate demise of Mr. Technikwala. His daughter, Miss Technikwali, took up the family business. She was an MBA from one of the premier B schools and was working in a different company when Mr. Technikwala passed away. She preferred the BAG, developed new ideas, and therefore inducted freshly graduate MBAs from premier B schools. She personally supervised the recruitment and selection process. Now the entire group consisted of 50 specialists, out of which 35 were the old-time members. She also changed the reporting relationship in BAG, with some of the older members being made to report to the new members. In ITT, Mr. Shiv, a newly recruited MBA, was made in charge. So obviously, very clearly, the story changed. She came, she wanted to develop new ideas, but the key thing is that when Mr. Technikwala was taking only experienced candidate, she not only took fresh candidate, but he also made them in charge of projects. So now we can predict some real SRHU that is going to come. So going on, for the older members, it was a shock, obviously. However, as most of them were on the verge of retirement, and it would be challenging to search for new job while competing with younger professionals, they decided to play along. So here is that the senior guys did not like it, but they are playing along because they had no other option. So the story continues. After 1 month, all business units were caught up in the ERP fever. So there's an ERP fever. This was an idea pushed by Ms. Technikwali, who need to replace the old legacy systems with latest ERP system integrating all units of Technic. This was heavily influenced by her experience with the previous company, where an ERP system was already up and running. Therefore, she was not aware of the difference between installing an ERP system and working on already installed one. What we understand from here is Mr. Technikwali pushed the latest ERP system, and it was influenced by the previous company. So one of the issues that I immediately see here, she was not aware of the difference between installing ERP system and already working on already installed one. So she pushed it. Moving on, the ERP implementation technique group required extensive coordination with senior level managers of all units, and it represented extra work for those who were involved. ERP is enterprise resource planning, by the way. Yeah. This coordination required to understand different work processes and the user requirement. This coordination activity was being extensively managed by the old timers, as they were familiar with the internal processes and people in the different units. An external consultant was also hired for the customization and implementation. So what we basically understand from here, the old timers were important. The people with experience were important for this project to work. Right. So that is what we understand from this paragraph. We move on. After 2 months, BAG team had to fortnightly present their progress to Ms. Technikwali's team. In the last meeting, Ms. Technikwali was dissatisfied. She explained the thinking that since ERP impacted every aspect of the business, the rollout had to be done faster. She wanted Mr. Shiv to get the implementation completed ahead of schedule. In the meeting, she asked Mr. Shiv to get the people in the IT to be more productive. Not willing to disagree, Mr. Shiv committed to a rollout schedule of complete ERP system in 6 months instead of earlier 14 months. So two issues that we immediately see here. Mr. Technikwali pushed it, and Mr. Shiv accepted it because he does not want to disagree with his boss. So that's another issue that we immediately see here. Next paragraph. Next day, Mr. Shiv presented the revised project milestone to BAG members. So he went and presented to BAG members. He told them that in order to meet the deadline, the members were expected to work on weekends till the completion of the project. Although, along with that, they were also expected to maintain the earlier standards of delivery time and quality for the normal troubleshooting and internal advisory work. Mr. Shiv also pointed out that anyone whose performance did not meet the expectations would be subjected to formal disciplinary action. So what we understand from here is that he pushed it. He also wanted them to do usual work, and they also have to work on weekends. So basically, he did not ask them; he just pushed it. And obviously, next paragraph, you can expect what would happen. Let's read on. The meeting ended without any member commenting on Shiv's ideas, although Mr. Shiv heard a lot of mumbling in the corridors. Over the week, Shiv noticed that the members seemed to avoid him, and he had to make extra effort to get ideas from him. After a fortnight, Shiv reviewed the attendance register and found Mr. Lal, an old-timer, had not come during the weekends, and certain decisions were held up due to lack of input from Mr. Lal. Mr. Shiv issued a written reprimand to Mr. Lal. He was speechless on receiving the reprimand, but kept silent. So obviously, people mumble. There is a lot of issue. They don't want to do it. So there is a serious issue that is clearly seen in this particular paragraph. And this is the last paragraph. It has been 3 days since the incident. Some of the senior members had put in requests for transfer to other businesses. It was rumored that 4 senior legal experts had agreed to an offer from a law firm. Other senior members would sporadically come in late to work, citing health reasons. Almost all senior members now wanted a weekly work routine to be prepared and given to them in advance so that they could deliver as per schedule. This instances on written communication was a problem, as urgent problem or ad hoc requests could not be foreseen and included. Also, normal services to other business units being unattended to, and there were complaints coming up in the unit. So there are people leaving. So there are huge amount of problems. So that's the whole case. So let's look at question number 1. Which of the following response should have been a better response of Mr. Shiv to Ms. Technique Wali's request to reschedule the ERP implementation? Remember what had happened. Technique Wali pushed it to Mr. Shiv, and Mr. Shiv accepted it. So to answer the question, let's understand the decision parameter. 1, obviously it has to be good for the organization. 2, Mr. Shiv should not leave his job. His career. So it is basically about Mr. Shiv's better response. So his career should be intact. So let's look at option 1. Look at the industry best practices regarding fast tracking of ERP project, and then commit to the new deadline. So he's making the same mistake. His problem happened because of the BAG group, and they're not adapting to the new deadline. So this is not the answer. Option B, consult the external consultant who was involved. No, external consultant has nothing to do with the issue that has been created. C, create a smaller team of all new recruits. Same problem. New recruits does not have the capability to handle it. So as most of you have got it, it is option E. D is eliminate the reliance on external consultant. This is irrelevant. Present the idea to BAG members and ask them to look at the feasibility of the entire plan. So this is the case. It is not option 1, basically because if you look at the case, for the project to be successful, you have to get the confidence of the BAG group, because it is very clearly written in the case. It is the old timers who has got experience. So Shiv has to ensure that he makes Technique Valley happy, he makes the company successful, and then he has to ensure that the BAG members are roped in. So therefore, this case, even though the case is lengthy, I would consider this case to be pretty easy to handle, or moderate to easy to handle. Look at 11. Which of the following can be identified as the immediate cause? So this is a problem identification. We are doing problem identification. Please remember there are two kinds of problems. One is a long-term problem and one is a short-term problem. So what is the immediate cause of the problem in BAG? So immediate cause of the problem BAG. Why did it happen? So can you quickly go through these 5 options and tell me which one is answered? And again, you can mark, put the answers there. Most of you are stuck between D and E. I getting one A. I'm getting E's and D's. E's and D's. E's and D's is what I'm getting. So I'm going to make some people happy. It is C. Sorry, it is E. It is not E. The cause. What is the cause? Please understand, there is a cause and cause leads to an effect. It is effect that the BAG was unhappy. But who was the cause? The cause was she pushing the deadline without telling BAG or without taking BAG into confidence. So the cause and the immediate cause, obviously if you ask the original cause, could be technically pushing it into it, but the immediate cause is Shiv. A is D, infighting between new recruits and older members. Where has been the infighting? Nothing has suggested between infighting between new recruits and older members. In fact, nothing in the case says that these two people fought. You have to be with the case, stick to the case. Option C, lack of information about what is happening in the ERP project. No, that is not the immediate cause. The cause, not the effects, the cause. Incompetence of the consultant, irrelevant. Mr. Technical didn't appoint Mr. C as the project head as for ERP implementation may be original cause, but that is not the immediate cause. So E is the answer. Let's pick one more, then we'll move on. So let's pick 13. This question: of all the problems being faced in BAG, which of the following is neither discussed nor hinted? Okay, the question. Let me go back. There's a question. There's a be careful, which is neither discussed nor hinted. So I'm getting a B and a D. Or hinted. Let's look at D. Miss Technically, lack of understanding of complexity of ERP implementation. It's not hinted. She judged. The answer is B. So for all those few, which is not intent, B is the answer for question number 13. Miss Technicality's lack of understanding of the complexity. This is hinted, very clearly hinted. She was in the earlier company where the ERP was up and running. She is in the new company. So in this company, she is implementing ERP. She does not have understanding. E, Mr. Shiv's lack of understanding of sensitivities of older members. It is hinted because if you notice, if he had understood the sensitivity, he would have not pushed it to BAG without discussing with them. So E is not the case. A, Miss Technicality's lack of faith in older members to implement new ideas. Obviously, it is hinted because she wanted new ideas. That is why she brought in new people. That implies that she did not have faith in the old people to to implement new ideas, which is the sole reason why she brought in the new guys. C, Mr. Shiv intention to impress Mr. Techniquali. So this is clearly hinted. So what is not hinted is B, the inability of younger members to work along with older members of BAG. Older members was working. Stick to the case. So what is going to be critical? See, look at if you these 5 questions. There are actually 5 questions, and the 5 questions: 1 mark, 2 mark, you have 3, 4, 5.5 marks. Oh, sorry, 6 questions, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. 1, 2, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, 6.5 marks. And what was the cutoff? 6.5. If you had spent, let's say, all 40 minutes understand this case and cracking just this case, people would have cleared the cutoff. So what you need to understand about decision making is that you must very, very carefully understand the whole case. One of the things that you must really, I don't know how many of you know case study analysis. Case study analysis, when you will probably go to GDs, there is this case study analysis. So this is more like a case study analysis. Case study, analyzing a case study, identifying the problem, understand. So from where to practice, there is a supplement that you will get from your center. There are exercises that will be available in your center. XAT supplement, yes, and you can pick the questions from previous thing. It's very exciting. So let's. I'm not solving everything because it'll take a lot of time, and also there is Neeraj is going to anyway take 3 hours and do decision making day after tomorrow. So let me also go to another question. Let me, for example, take this particular question. This case is a little smaller. So we are reading it to the chairman. So obviously somebody is writing to the chairman. Dear Mr. Shailesh, at December 3, 2011 meeting, it was decided that no 2 officers would hold positions on the same committee. So here says no 2 officers would hold position in the same committee. That's what it's been said. It has recently come to my attention that both Chaitanya Rao and Ajit Singh will be serving in some capacity on the cultural committee, and both have been nominated for officer status. So 2 things here. There are 2 people, and they will be serving in some capacity, but they have been nominated. So what we understand, they are not at officers, but they have been nominated. Then it goes on, as you know, this is in direct disregard of the rules as voted by the members council last December 3, 2011. I would hope that sufficient action be taken by the disciplinary committee on which both of the above are members. Both of the above members, so that this problem will be remedied. So it's a small case. Core issue is this: no 2 officers will hold position in the same committee. Chaitanya and Ajit Singh may become 2 officers. Those 2 guys are already holding position in disciplinary committee. So when they become an officer, then we see a problem here. And when they become an officer, we see a problem in the other committee as well, the cultural committee. So that's the case. So I'm going to give question number 1. Please mark your answers. Which of the following essential flaw? Beautiful. And I guess now you're getting the hang of, oh no, not A. D. Yet to be. Which of the following essential flaw that the writer here overlooked? Basically, very clearly they're yet to be confirmed. So D is the answer. That's a flaw. Brilliant. So let's look at second question. If both the nominations are confirmed, which of the following exhaustively and reasonably describe actions that may occur in the near future? So I'll put the options here. Yeah. So there'll be a problem in both the committees. Both of them are going to be officers. There'll be a problem in both the committees. So only solution is one guy has to resign from one committee, another guy has to resign from other committee. E option. I think most of you have got it right, and I guess you're getting the hang of. So there are these two questions. So if I'm not solving this case, but try it yourself. Okay, read it very, very carefully. This is little confusing as a case. You might find it a little tricky to answer the question. The question is, what is the cutoff of DM in XAT 2001? Cutoff of DM was 6.25 marks. 6.25 marks. If you had done the previous question and this question, we are well above the cutoff. 6.25 marks. For XLRI, yes. For XLRI, both the programs, PM and IR. This was a difficult one. This case was challenging and should have been avoided, must be avoided at any cost. So it's story about Tina working in a staying in Jamshedpur, wanting to travel somewhere, and a lot of options are given. And for each of the questions, you're going to take a lot of time. So this must have been avoided. So you already did this case. This case, doable case. Don't go by the length. It is whole page, lot of table. Doable case. So basically, let me quickly read this. Dev Anand, CEO of a construction company, recently escaped a potentially fatal accident. Dev had failed to notice a red light while driving his car and attending to his phone call. His well-wishers advised him to get a suitable replacement for the previous driver, Ram Singh, who had resigned 3 months back. So all I'm basically getting from this is a driver has resigned and he wants to recruit a new driver. Ram Singh was not just a driver, but also a trusted lieutenant for Dev Anand for the last 5 years. Ram used to interact with other 5 drivers and gathered critical information that helped Dev in successfully bidding for different contracts. So Ram Singh was more than a driver. His input also helped Dev to identify some dishonest employees and to retain crucial employees who were considered attractive offers from his competitors. Some of the senior employees did not like the informal influence of Ram and made it difficult for him to continue in the firm. They provided him an alternative job with one of the relatives. Obviously, the employees don't like a person like the Ram. Okay. So during the last 3 months, different candidates for the post. So there is a Sundar who is 32 years of age, postgraduate, 7 years experience, 18,000 per month, and there is something about ex-employer are highly satisfied. Their only concern is about his tendency to switch jobs after 6 months, enjoys the newness in every job, but tends to lose interest after 6 months, not willing to commit for any more than 6 months, claims to have more than, so etc. So there are certain things given about each of these candidates. So in the actual paper, you must read everything. Okay, so I'm just running it through because Dev is primarily looking for a stable and trustworthy driver. So they want stable and trustworthy. That is Dev, who is suitable to replacement of Ram. His family members do not want Dev to appoint a young driver. So his family member wants experienced people. Old drivers, as most of them, they want old drivers. Their driver is an employee of the firm and hence appointment has to be routed to HR manager of the firm. HR manager prefers to maintain parity among employees of the firm. You also need to ensure that the selection of a new driver does not lead to discontent among the senior employees of the firm. So that is his parameter, decision parameters. So it is, So these are the things. So if I look at basically the question, if I look at question number 16, from his perspective and taking into account the family concerned, Mr. Dev would like to have whom? So what does Dev want? They want somebody who is trustworthy. So clearly this guy is there. Cousin of Ram Singh, substituted Ram as Dev's driver whenever Ram wants on leave, currently working as driver, Dev's in-laws, strongly represented by Ram. So obviously he is the most trustworthy. So question is like, so don't go by the length. So these two are also easy to handle. Easy to handle. Even this is not so difficult. I encourage you to go through this, solve it on your own at home. This case, this moral ethics, this is little tricky. It is not tricky because the case is tricky. It is basically tricky because you're not used to, we're okay with other kind of cases. Here basically what happens, there are two definitions given. Ethics, morals, society's code for individual survival. So that is morals. Ethics is individual's code for society survival. So basically what is ethics means is that I have decided that stealing is going to be very important for the society. Then if I steal, I am being ethical, that kind of a thing. I decide my own values, and if I stick to my values, then I am ethical. Morals means I have to stick to society's values. So that's what it means. So then it goes on and gives you a lot of situations, and you are basically asked to check whether he is ethical, moral, so on and so forth. So you will find it a little confusing. Also, some of the question has got additional information. So this particular case was the trickiest of all the case. So something I would have basically avoided. This Saral company's case was also a moderate kind of a case. So one of the very, very crucial thing is to, yes, you should have avoided the Naresh Wala case. You should have avoided the case of ethics, because that is going to be confusing. See, please understand this. It is not that the questions of DM are difficult, but the issue is that I won't have time to solve too many questions because I have to read information. So if you commit on a case, you have to do it. So you cannot commit on a wrong case. I cannot be spending 10 minutes or 15 minutes reading the case and then getting confused and not marking. So I have to commit on the case. The selection is absolutely crucial. So if you even spend 2 minutes reading the case and then decide 1-2 minutes in the case, spend in the case, decide. So there are 8 cases, 15 minutes just to let it decide what to do. And then pick cases in the next 30 odd minutes. Take some 3-4 cases and do it. All you require is about 10 marks. It's not difficult. And stick to the case. And when you're in the case, commit to the case. Commit completely to the case. So that is about decision making. In fact, I'll also like to mention that in day after tomorrow, Neeraj will be doing a whole session on the decision making. So I will encourage you to attend that session as well. Yeah, so he'll help you guys. Another question, I can pick some questions on decision making. So one of the question is, should we give more emphasis on the cases with 1 mark questions while selecting cases? So I will not give emphasis to 1 mark or 1.5 marks. Largely what you see is that 1.5 marks is going to be more difficult than the 1 mark question. So it is because that the question was a little more challenging that I am not doing it. But I will not go by the pre-decided notion that the 1.5 mark question is going to be always difficult than the 1 mark question. One question is, how much does the highest mark go? Oh, so that's an interesting question. And the highest mark, I believe, should go somewhere about 1 sec. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 12, 15 kind of a thing. Any other questions? Yeah, approximately 15 kind of. Uh, Sometimes I get stuck with two options. Should I take the risk and mark an answer in a 50-50 question? Jyoti, that is Jyoti. When you get stuck in 50, you cannot be stuck in decision making because the answers, uh, you are getting stuck because you're not able to understand the 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 case. So, in at least in the preparation stage, next 2 weeks, whenever you're getting stuck, go back uh, and understand the case once again. In the actual examination, it's a call that you can take. If you believe that you have cleared the cutoff, then be safe. If you believe that not clear the cutoff and you want to take a couple of risks, go ahead and do that. Since question is such, should we go for small individual questions or big passages with 5 to 6 questions? My decision is not on the length. My 5 to 6 question big passages may be easier than a short one, or the short passage uh, uh, may be easier than the big one. So I don't know. Only after read a passage, at least glance the passage, can I make the decision. So what I'm basically telling you guys is never make a decision just by looking at the question. Spend 5-10 minutes and decide. Go through it, read the question. Are you comfortable with the topic? Read the passage first. See, let me give you one tip. When you start reading it, you feel like it's a story that you're able to understand, then you can commit to it. If you're reading it, I feel like shit, it's confusing, ye kya ho raha hai? Then leave it. So I would always read the passage first. So if I'm comfortable, questions can be handled. Some question, how can I decide a cutoff? Yes, I'm giving you to the past experience. If you're able to touch about 10 marks in attempt, in 10 marks in terms of attempt in decision making, you're almost there. And the second, when you decide a cutoff, let's say you start looking at the question, and questions were small caselet, easy questions, then you automatically know the cutoff is going to be high. So that's the sense. That is. I cannot say uh, this thing for sure, but that's the kind of sense. Okay. How much time approximate on each question? How much time of reading depends. Uh, Broadly, you have about you give 40 minutes. There are 8 caselets, so about 2 minutes at least I will spend in reading. That is about 15 minutes, and I'll spend about what 5, 6, 7 minutes to solve, depending on the case. So let me now. I think I'll move on to the other section. Uh, uh, I will not do a lot of questions in English language logical reasoning, because the kind of question is very similar to what you would have seen in the CAT. But I have put this pie chart. This pie chart basically gives you the breakup of the questions. So what I essentially want to do is that in the 40 minutes, at 20 plus for sure. Let's quickly go back to the cutoff slide. Remember the cutoff was about 13. The cutoff was 13. That's the bare minimum kind of a thing. But we will try and push anything about 20. What you immediately notice is this: a major chunk is going to be reasoning based. This could be critical reasoning. This could be para jumble. This could be syllogisms. At least in that 2012 paper, it was a lot of them are reasoning based, and then you cannot get to these marks if you're not attempting these. Look at this. Let's look at vocabulary based questions. This requires some kind of prior knowledge, something I cannot trust, because I may know, I may not know. So this 5 I cannot trust. Grammar based question, you know how it is. Largely we go by broad gut feelings, right? So typically about 50% accuracy. RC, we know, let's say out of the 3 passages, 1 passage is going to be difficult. So if I have to hit about 20 marks, this 15 may say 13 minimum. Was syllogism asked? There was one question, one syllogism question. It was a simple syllogism question. So whenever you see a paper, the first thing is reasoning. Your cutoff is going to be largely determined by reasoning based questions. So you must ensure that you're not missing out on a single reasoning based question. And that is going to be absolutely crucial. So let me quickly go to that section. Sorry. This pie chart is based on the questions, not necessarily based on the marks. It's based on the number of questions. But almost all the questions in English language and logical listening were 1 mark questions. So let's. This is exactly what I was talking about. This is basically usage-based question. On a wing and a prayer, the Indian team landed in Heathrow to take on the formidable opponents. Above statement can be inferred as. So I need to know this. If I know it is underprepared, then I can answer. If I don't know it's underprepared, I cannot answer. But what I have to do is questions like these. Must. These are reasoning-based questions. I'll just pick a couple of them and then leave the rest to you guys. It was AC Milan's success in Europe in the 60s that introduced the libero as the Italian default, and a quarter of the century later, it was AC Milan's success in Europe that killed it off. In 60, libero success of Europe, there is a direct correlation, but 25 years later, it was AC Milan's success that killed it off. Which of the following is not implied? A. AC Milan was successful in Europe in the 60s with the help of libero. Success 60s, that was implied. This was implied. AC Milan was successful in Europe in the late 80s without libero. That is after the case. This is also implied. Which one is it, guys? Yeah, it's D. Somebody is asking what is a libero. At least for answering this question, you don't need to know that. So D is the answer. So questions like these. 30th question. These kind of questions you must answer. This must answer. In 2001 census showed a sharp decline in literacy rate as compared to 1991. So he says that 1991 to 2001 literacy rate declined. That's what he's saying. But an increase in the literacy rate by 2006. But an increase in the literacy rate by 2006. So in 2006 there has been an increase. So first there was a decrease, then there was an increase. Suggests that between 1991 and 2006, India progressed in terms of literacy rate. So basically now he's saying that he's making an argument that India progressed like this. Which of the following best refutes? Obviously there has been a decrease and there has been an increase. He's basically assuming that the increase later is more than the decrease. So once you understand this, D has to be the answer. The rate of fall in literacy rate between 1991 and 2000 was more than the rate of rise in literacy rate between 2001 and 2006. Yeah. Why D? Okay, sorry, where am I? So basically, if you notice, is that the argument says that in 1991 to 2001, the literacy rate decreased, and from 2001 to 2006, it is increased. So he's basically making an argument that from 1991 to 2006, overall it has increased. So he's basically assuming that this increase is more than this decrease for this to happen. So that increase has to be more than that decrease. So that is clearly this. So what can refute this? The rate of fall in literacy rate between 1991 and 2000. So he is basically saying that this fall is more than this rise. So obviously net it would have fallen. So why not A? One of the causes for more literacy is ये कहाँ से आ गया? One of the causes of more literacy rate is the increase. Literacy rate is argument is about literacy rate anyways. Literacy rate is number of people, number of literate upon the population. So even if the population would have increased, something would have also happened in the numerator. So irrelevant. So this is like your GMAT critical reasoning questions. There's a lot of this, at least in this paper. But that is not to say that in that 2013 these kind of questions will come. But all I'm saying is that you cannot miss out on critical reasoning. Jumbled paragraph. So this is a vocab based question. Ravindra Dubey was guilty of embezzlement, and a lot of these cases are there in the news today. Which one is it? So either you know or you don't know. Yes, these answers. So let me give you some 2 minutes, and guys try this para jumble 32 questions. Give me what the answer to 32 is. Take about a minute's time and answer to 32. I'm getting answers from Ayush, Kanika. I'm getting a lot of A's. I've got one B, E, E, A, C, D, B. That's A. 32. Yeah. Oh. E to A. Fantastic. I think most of you, so at least in Arpit, you've got it right. Yeah. A. So these questions, there are two more para-jumble questions here. Not very difficult, at least in this. Right. There were three RC passages. This one was the most difficult. Once you read at least the first paragraph, you'll know what I mean. I will read with you, and if somebody understood what this is, then it'll be. There is an essential and irreducible duality in the normative conceptualization of an individual person. We can see the person in terms of his or her agency, recognized and respecting his or her ability to form goals, commitments, values, etc. So, you know how this passage is going to be. This particular passage is something that you must avoid. Which one is it? So we'll avoid this passage. Okay. This 39 is a basic grammar question. I'll avoid. Again a reasoning. So, well, I'll just pick 39. Anyone? Which of the following cannot be inferred? Cannot be inferred. Cannot be. Yeah. So most of it is getting it right. D. So the sense, what I want to is that one of the things that you must basically trust is reasoning, because reasoning is about information given in front of you, and then you are trying to solve it. A vocabulary question is there's information from the past, knowledge that I have, so never leave it. I mean, never leave it. These are critical reasoning questions. Do you want to solve these critical reasoning questions, or are you okay with this? These are something I'm sure you guys would have done. So I think this you can. So there is a question on how to discover some. Let me just quickly move. So basically, when you look at at least the XAT 2012 paper, XAT 2012 verbal section, it's something that you're very familiar with. I know whatever you have prepared for the CAT was more than enough. Only thing that I would encourage you is to ensure that uh, do critical reasoning. You can look at some maybe we'll have one session especially on critical reasoning, because critical reasoning is about logic and it is about set of rules and it's not very difficult to handle. Okay, so I think that should solve most of the trouble. So basically what I was for those of you who had prepared for CAD, uh, you're okay with yes, I can take a session on CR. So I'll get back to it after discussing with there's no book on critical reasoning that I will personally recommend. But yes, there are some simple rules, and critical reasoning is one area where you can become always correct if you understand some basic rules. So this is math, and math is basically very different from the math that you see in the CAT. Some you could I don't know how many of you have taken IFT, because these questions are very similar in terms of the type of question they ask in IFT. Straight away. So what I've done is what I've basically done here is I've basically looked at various areas and questions that are doable. When I say questions that are doable, is that it requires a basic knowledge of mathematics. I don't require level 2 or level 3 understanding of mathematics. So that everything put together, doable questions will be about 13, 14. Out of these are questions. These are not marks. And most of the doable questions here are 1 mark questions. Most of them. And in fact, all of them are 1 mark questions. Some of the 2 mark questions were difficult, 1.5 mark questions. 1 or 2 could have been done. But what you immediately notice is this. Look at, out of 50% of arithmetic was doable. In geometry, very few questions were doable. So one thing, please take my advice very seriously, is that let's take a case of a student who is very good in geometry, weak in algebra, or thinks he's weak in algebra, weak in numbers, feels he's good in arithmetic. And his pre-decided strategy is that I will look at arithmetic questions, I will look at geometry questions, and I will probably leave algebra or put numbers towards the end. What is going to happen is that he's going to look at this arithmetic question, he suddenly see that this many questions are difficult, he will move to geometry and see the geometry is very difficult, and then suddenly feel that this paper is such a difficult paper, oh my god, I'm doomed. But the issue is basically that you are making a decision, that person made a decision based on the area. And that is something that you must never do. Never on the area. Always select after reading a question. Always select after reading a question. I'm basically assuming here at least you know the basics of all the areas in the CAT. You may not, some, for example, you may not, some may not be comfortable with algebra, but at least you know the basics of algebra. You can swim or try to swim. So one of the things that you must is you have to read the question. The second thing is that almost all the questions are a little lengthy in the sense that a little story given. So you have to select a question only after reading. So I'm going to go pick up some questions one by one and solve, and see if we can attempt about 13 questions, or 13 plus questions, or 15 questions. How many can we try? So let's start with question number 58. So I basically cut pasted the question in one of the slides so I can solve it one by one. Okay. So let's read it. So the length is huge, and there are some dates given. So some of you, by looking at the question, may decide I'm not going to do it, but never do that. Read it. 3 BPs regularly visit the plant on different days. Due to labor unrest, BPHR regularly visit the plant after a gap of 2 days. Gap of 2 days. So basically means after every third day. It's a gap of 2 days. That is the cuts here. BP operations regularly visit the plant after a gap of 4 days. Every fourth day he visits. So basically, gap, you must understand, gap of 3 days. Day 1, 2, 3, and then he visits. Another 3, then he visits. So every fourth day he is visiting. And the third guy visits at a gap of 5 days. That is every 6th day. The VP do not deviate from the individual schedules. They stick to these schedules. CEO of the company meets the VP when all the 3 VPs come together. The CEO will visit them when all the 3 VPs come to the plant together. CEO is on the leave from the 5th of January to the 20th. So CEO to nahi hai, between 5th and 28th of January. Last time the CEO met the VP was the 3rd of January. The 3rd of January was when all these guys were together. When will the next time together? I know that's a simple application of LCM after 12 days. So basically, so they were there on third day. So yes, answer is C. So they will visit after 12th day. So after 3rd of January, 15th of January, and so on and so forth. But till 28th, this guy is not there. So it's a simple LCM problem. It's a simple LCM problem. All of you got it right. Yes, answer is C. But if I have not read it, I don't know whether the answer is question is simple. So here I cannot. I know that when I read some of the questions, I suddenly find it difficult. But that time has to be, so if there are, let's say 32 questions, you will spend about 15 minutes reading all the questions in that 40 minutes. I'm not, question 2. Okay. Ramesh analyzed the monthly salary figures of 5 vice presidents of his company. So 5 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the salaries are integers. Great. They're all numbers. The mean and the median is 5. The median basically means the midpoint. The median is 5. And the mean is also 5. So basically the total would be 5 into 5, 25 lakhs. The sum of everything, 25 lakhs. And only mode is basically the frequency. Mode is basically the frequency. The only mode is 8 lakhs. So 8 lakh has to be above this. So here is an 8 lakhs, here is an 8 lakhs. So 8 plus 8 is 16. 16 plus 5 is 21 lakhs. What I need is 4 lakhs. It can be either 2 plus 2 or 1 plus 3. But if it's 2 plus 2, then the mode will be 8 and 2. If that is not possible, the only possibility is 3 and 1. So there you go. What is the highest and lowest salary? 8 plus 1 is 9. But you guys should know what is mean, median, and mode. So I hope that you guys know that. How we got 25 lakhs? Because it's saying the mean is also 5 lakhs. And the mean is 5 lakhs. there are 5 things. So 5 into 5 is 25. That's the total. That's it. So this question is also solvable. Third question. This is a data interpretation. In the following graph shows the revenue of 3 companies in the initial 6 years of the operations. Actually, this somebody is asking me what is the mode. For example, if I basically say 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 8, 8, 2, 3, 4. The mean is actually you add everything and divide it by the number of terms. The median is if you put them in ascending order, which one comes in the middle. A mode is a frequency. So there are 8 is mode, 4 times. So 8 is a mode. So this question had a problem. He says that in the year 2010, I don't see a 2010. First year, second year, third year, fourth year, 5 year, and 6 year. So this is DI question. This DI, this basically asks the difference in average percentage increase in revenues from 4th to 6th year of Yahoo and Facebook. So I have to take 4th to 6th year of Yahoo from here to here, and then the next guy from 6th year, which is that is Facebook, and that is Yahoo. So it is a simple question, but the trick is going to be in this question is finding out the exact value, because the options are pretty close. So when I did this, I got the answer wrong because I took this value wrong. So this, since the options are too close, maybe this is something that you could have avoided or must have avoided. And it is not so big because the options are close, actually because I'm not able to exactly find out what is the actual value. $61. Just a second, guys. The E is answer, but you can easily mark D. So this is something that has to be avoided. Again, the same thing, because I'm not able to find out the exact value. So I will avoid this question. Look at this one. Tina, Meena, Gina, Lina, and Beena. Tina, 5 sisters. Tina, Meena, Gina, Lina, and Beena. Age in that order, with Tina being eldest. So that's the order. Each of them had to carry a bucket of water from a well to their house. Their bucket's capacity were proportional to the ages. The bucket's capacity were proportional to the ages. While returning, equal amount of water got spilled out of these buckets. The amount of water that got spilled was equal. So X, whatever the amount of bucket got spilled. Who lost the maximum amount? Which is the answer, guys? Yes, almost all of you got it right. It has Beena. The Beena's weight is the least, so that is going to be the denominator. So it's a simple one. I don't have to calculate. This question is also solvable. We are supposed to do 13. We already can do 3 here in the first 5 questions. I'll just move on. Look at this question, for example. Long one. Guys, why don't you read it? I'll give you. So it basically says that Ram, a farmer, managed to grow shaped watermelons inside glass cases of different shape. The shapes he used were a perfect cube. So he used a perfect cube. He used a hemispherical thing. He used a cuboid. He used a cylinder. He used a normal spherical watermelon. Thickness of the skin was same for all the shapes. The thickness was same. Each of the glasses were so designed the total volume of volume and weight of all the watermelons would be equal irrespective of the shape. The customer wants to buy watermelon for making juice, for which skin the watermelon has to be peeled off and therefore a waste. So basically, when I'm peeling out watermelon, the skin is going to stick to the surface. That's how you would imagine. Little imagination. Imagine I have a watermelon which looks like this. So this is a surface. The surface area is a surface. So the least waste would be which has got a least surface area. The least surface area is a sphere. So E is the answer. Least surface area is not a hemisphere. Least surface area is a sphere. Because the volume is same. Remember, volume is same. The hemisphere is going to be a little bulkier. Yeah. This is also manageable if you read it. This is also manageable if you read it. A man borrows 6,000 at 5% interest on reducing balance. Right. At the start of the year, he repays. This is actually not. This has to be 1,200. Yeah. At the end of each year, find the amount of loan outstanding in rupees. Basically, you have to understand. So basically, what happened? 6,000, 5% interest. So 6,000 at 5% interest would have basically gone to how much? 6,300. Simple interest. So 6%, 5% on that. But it repays 1,200 out of it. So 6,300, 1,200, 5,100 remains. And the next year, 5,100 with 5% interest. And then he pays another 1,200. So it's simple math, 4,155 remains. So that's the beginning. That's it. At the beginning of third year, is at the end of no silly mistakes, please. We have little less, we can only solve less questions. So take your time, no panic. Aram se karo. Right. Simple, straightforward question should be solved. I'm not even solving it. The simple, straightforward question. Spherical metal of radius 10 cm molded made into surface area. The straightforward question. Some people, mixers and alligation replacement. So you find the options are close. Maybe like GP says R2 kind of a question. Basically, the story says that Gopal sells the fruit mixture using orange juice. Gopal prepares the mixture by drawing out a jug. So there's a 10 liter. He draws out something, replaces something. So I have to take this as X and find out. So this is one of the questions that if you have time in R2, you can do it. Arpit, I'm not taking any dig at GP. I basically, yeah. Question number 68. Question number 68 is a 1.5 mark question. Somebody is asking me, can you explain mean, median, and mode? I'll explain towards the end. R2 kind of a question is a round 2. That is a question that you should not do it at the first instance, or something that you should do towards the end. That kind of a question. So we already have solved about 4 questions. Nikhil's mother asks him to buy 100 pieces of sweet worth rupees 100. Right. So the number of items is 100. The amount is also 100. The sweet has 3 kinds of sweets. So there is an X, there is a Y, and there is a Z. This costs rupees 10, this costs rupees 3, and this costs rupees 0.5. So we basically get one equation which is this is equal to 100. Another equation which x plus y plus z is equal to 100. Then if Nikhil decides to buy at least one sweet of each type, how many gulab jamun should he buy? Basically, one should decide or x or y, z, they are not equal to 0. That's what it means. So what you need to understand is not a simultaneous, but what you need to understand, these are numbers or integers. So we basically will have to solve these things. You basically get something like a 19x plus 5y equal to 100. Then you can write y equal to 100 minus 19x plus 5. Y has to be a number. For y to be a number, the value that x can take is only 5. Therefore, y has to be 1, and then you can solve it. So this is a 1.5 mark question. But some of you are comfortable with numbers, comfortable equations, could do it. Others could have left this question. This is a no-no. Okay. You can tell the whole story, understanding the story. When you read it, you will understand. This is a question that should have been skipped. If you want explanatory, this is a tough one. It's a genuinely tough question. It's a genuinely tough question. This, you need to know certain theorem. If you know certain theorem, you can maneuver. Otherwise, yeah, Apollonius theorem. If you know the Apollonius theorem, you can handle it. Otherwise, avoidable, easily avoidable. So basically, what you notice is that in this paper, by design, a 2-mark question, you could have avoided. Now look at this question, for example. Looks big. Ramya, based in Shanpur, took her car for a 400-kilometer trip. So took her car for 400-kilometer trip. She maintained a log of the odometer reading and the amount of petrol she purchased at different petrol pumps at different prices. So this is the petrol she purchased, amount of petrol. She had 10 liters at the start. She had 10 liters at the start and she had 5 liters at the end. You know the amount that she purchased. 20 plus 15 plus 10. So 35, 45. So this was at the start. She purchased this. This was the end. So 40 liters. What is the mileage? Kilometers per liter. So I need to find out how many kilometers. 800 at the end of the journey. So I think I made some mistake. Yeah. The basic application. You will 800. Sorry, one sec. Yeah. So sorry, it will be 10. So this will be actually 50 liters. 800 at the beginning of the journey, 400 at the end of the journey, 400 kilometers, 400 kilometer 50, 8 kilometers per liter. Simple problem. But you have to read it. This, again, okay one, but there's a second level of thought process that you need to bring in. Deserves the 1.5 marks. Could have been left it to the last. Or should have been left it to the last. But read it and then decide. This one looks big. A medical practitioner has created different potencies of a commonly used medicine by dissolving tablets in water and using the resultant solution. When one tablet dissolve in 50 ml, one tablet in 50 ml, that is one dose. 2 tablets in 50 ml, entire 50 ml is equivalent to 2 doses. 3 tablets, 50 ml, 3 doses, so on and so forth. This way you can give fractions of tablet based on the intensity of infection. For a particular person, administer 10 ml of potency 1. So it's basically 10 ml of potency 1 into 1 plus 15 ml of potency 2. 15 ml of potency 2, and 30 ml of potency 3. Sorry, 30 ml of potency 4. That's all. Because here is one tablet. The dosage administered tablet, how many tablets? So in 10 by 15 one tablet, 15 by 15 to 2 tablets, 30 by 15 to 4 tablets. That's all. So you basically get 3.2, I think. Yeah, B. One more questions. I'm not going to solve some of this question. E, allegation. Mixes allegation. Basic allegation. Those of you who have done the thing in CAT will find it easy to handle. Should be done or could be done. This one is a time speed distance question. I'm not solving it. Those of you comfortable with time speed distance will be able to solve it. Otherwise, you'll not be able to solve it. Otherwise, it's a basic easy question. This one, this is a 2-mark question. This is a 2-mark question that could have been done. Actually, this is one 2-mark question that you could actually be done. Shyam, a fertilizer salesman, sells directly to a farmer. He visits 2 villages, A and B. Shyam starts from A, travels 50 meters to the east. So he travels 50 meters to the east. Then 50 meters to the northeast. Then he travels 50 meters to the northeast at 45 degrees. So this is 45 degrees. Then 50 meters to the east. He travels 50 kilometers to the east. 50 meters to the east. This is my A and that is my B. What is the shortest distance between A and B? If the shortest distance is in this form, A root B, the shortest distance is basically going to be from this point to this point. That distance. So you basically see a right angle triangle there. Let me drop this down. So this also be 50 meters. This is a base, this is a height. This height is the same as this height. Now this is the hypotenuse for this particular right angle triangle. This is 45 degree. This is also 45 degree. So this is 50 by root 2 and that is 50 by root 2. So you get a 50 by root 2. So this is something that once you solve it, you'll get that in the form, then you can handle this. Little tricky. You'll get 2 solutions that you have to work with. But your comfortable equations can be done, otherwise could have been avoided. This is a very basic Venn diagram. Very basic Venn diagram. Should have solved it. So I'm not going to. The language is a little confused. Basically, what you see is the only advice that I have. The only advice that I have in this particular section. The only advice that I have, guys, is the fact that please read a question. Then only you decide. Don't have any preconceived notion. Geometry acha nahi hai, ye acha nahi hai. Just read and then decide. And if you have a basic comfort level with mathematics, I'm sure that most of the question can be done. Okay. So I'm going to move on to the last section, which is essay. I'll spend some time on essay quickly. One sec, give me this was Nikhil. Once I'm done with it, I'll surely solve that question, Nikhil. Yeah. In 2012, there were 2 topics given, and you were asked to you could have answered any one. So it's about 350 words. Could be about 3 to 4 paragraphs, kind of a thing. Poverty is a big menace in India. First of all, about essay writing. Essay writing is not counted in the cutoff. Essay writing does not come in the initial cutoff. If at all essay writing is evaluated, it's going to be evaluated in your second stage. That is, if at all it get evaluated. But you'll have to anyway do a good job with the essay, since we have to ensure that we make it to the end. Does SPGN select consider essay and GK? Not really, because SPGN takes the CAT score as well. CAT does not have an essay anyways. The experience itself has got a complete full-fledged selection process which has group interview, then one-on-one interview and stuff like that. So they don't evaluate essay. That 2000 level is much more difficult as compared to that 2012. Nothing can be expected. Yeah. So we'll keep the fingers crossed. So I'll put some of the essay topic in the past. This is the essay topic from 2003 to 2011. So you had essays, for example, in 2003 to give real service. One need to add something that cannot be bought or measured, like sincerity or integrity. So anyway, I believe that there is one special session on essay. So there's nothing to prepare on essay. What essentially you have to do is that you need to have a broad structure. So if I essentially go back, if I go back to the essay that is asked here, let's look at this. Poverty is a big menace in India. Due to its complexity and magnitude, most of the government initiatives fail. So basically, in the topic seems to make an argument that the reason why the initiative of government fail is because of the complexity that is involved in poverty, and that seems to be an argument that is being made, right? So in these kind of essays where argument is being made, I can give you a four-step kind of essay writing. One of the good thing about this is that basically you have to practice essays and have a broad structure fixed, so that then you don't sit there and worry about what the structure is. So this is my structure. There are a lot of different structures. I'll quickly go through this structure once, so whenever I'm writing an essay, the first thing that I want is I don't want that guy who's reading the essay to be confused what I want to say. So basically, I'm going to do in the first paragraph itself, I'm going to keep my stance very, very clear. For example, let me take a simple example. Should work experience be made compulsory in MBA? Let's say I'm just taking a simple case. Work experience be made compulsory in MBA. So either I'm saying that yes or no. So whether it is yes or no, whatever it is, you stick to it and say it up front. And you basically, to arrive at that particular thing, you give a broad definition of the issue. For example, let's say if I say yes to it, then the work experience should be made compulsory. I will start by saying that success of management education depends upon the quality of input that happens in the classroom, and the quality of input in turn depends upon what the student brings in, experience that brings in. Therefore, one could not, whatever, therefore, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, that work experience should be made compulsory, kind of a thing. So you make your course stance clear. And what you want to do is, what you basically want to do in paragraph number 2 is basically attack the other side. So if you have said, so for example, if I said that work experience should be made compulsory, I said no, and I made that in the initial paragraph stands pretty clear, saying that the objective of management education is nation building, and that has to take into consideration the complexities that are there in the current education system. So therefore, one cannot say that work experience is the only criteria for let's say success of a management education kind of a thing in the beginning. And the next thing I want to do is attack the other side. So here what I say is that if I've said work experience should not be made compulsory, the other side is work experience should be made compulsory. I'm going to state their arguments and attack that. That is what I'm going to do in paragraph 3. I will rip apart the other side. So I will state one argument the other side gives. For example, the one argument the other side gives could be the fact that work experience brings in experience. So I might start the paragraph by saying that the advocates of work experience to be made advocates of people who say the work experience be made compulsory says the reasoning is that work experience brings in experience. However, then once that argument is put forward, I point out the flaw in that reasoning of that argument. The flaw in that argument I would identify and say, for example, I would say that if you look at work experience, most of the students in their graduation choose the school not out of interest, out of salary and other criteria. So, and the reason why they end up doing an MBA is because they want to shift out of that industry. Therefore, whatever, this does not hold waters. So basically, you're writing a couple of arguments and then attacking them. And once you've attacked the counter argument on the paragraph 3, you give your viewpoints by stating your arguments, giving examples, and then concluding. So that could be a structure. Maybe in another session of essay we'll elaborate on this. But what I want to say is that have a structure in place in your mind so that this becomes you don't have to go there and start thinking what is that you want to do. So my structure is this. Paragraph 1, I tell the guy what I want to tell very, very clearly, my stance. Paragraph 2, I'm going to attack the other side. Paragraph 3, I give my viewpoints. Paragraph 4, I conclude by restating what I said in paragraph number 1. That's kind of how to prepare essays. So basically, you cannot really prepare for essay. I would not advise you to prepare for essay, but what I'll definitely advise you to get a structure in place. Normally what happens is that when you have a structure in place, when you write 3-4 essays, normally the words that you use to begin a paragraph can be the same. For example, be that as it may is the word that you use. Those typical words can be the same. So you practice about 2-3 essays, get a structure in place, put the starting word or the connecting words. You can fix all that actually. So do a handwriting make any difference? But no marks for handwriting. But I'm sure that the guy has to read. Siddharth, yeah. Quant cutoff for 2012. Let me put that. 6.5 marks for all those of you who are looking at. I think that something's wrong with his 92 percentile. Okay, this is not 92 percentile. Anyways, the marks is correct. So 6.5 marks for someone who's looking at PM and IR, and BM 11 marks. Yeah, I want to basically talk about one more thing. Is that now that you are taking this test, and some of the tests will go well, some of the tests may not go well. All your worries currently is your test. But I also want to say that suddenly in the month of January, the calls will start pouring in. And then you will eventually get a call from some institute or other. And suddenly you start figuring what to do with GD and PI and kind of things. So I think from now on, start thinking about preparing yourself for GD and PI. Yeah, that's one advice that I have. Let me pick some questions. Does vocab and minor grammar flaws, spelling mistake matter? Minor grammar flaws won't matter. But I think what you and you don't have to use great words. I think what is important is your reasoning and your argument. It's like critical reasoning, in fact. Vishal Singla has been asking me a question for a long time. Decision making. I'll have to get back to you on this, Vishal. So, yeah. So I'll leave my email. If you can just give me your email address, then I can write that. Okay. How to work in the 2 weeks that are left? Okay. One thing that is very clear, I cannot learn anything new, but what I can definitely do in the paper of the XAT, I must be able to solve all the questions where prior knowledge is not required. Decision making, prior knowledge is not required. I'm answering the question based on whatever information is given. Critical reasoning, prior knowledge is not required. For example, reading, analytical reasoning or logical reasoning, prior knowledge is not required. So focus on these areas is what I definitely focus on the decision making. I would like to, guys, I want to say this, guys, is that don't worry about difficult paper. You'll be absolutely happy that XAT is so difficult because you don't have to solve many questions. All you have to do is get 30%. 30% marks. Out of 100, get 30 marks. kind of a thing, if the difficult level is like this. So you have 30 marks is 30 marks. So don't think of that being 100 marks paper. Think of it being you have to solve 30 marks in 120 minutes, or maximum about 40 marks in 2 or 20 minutes. So be that approach. It's about selection. To get 95 percentile in every section, exact marks I won't know, but to get 95 percentile, you have to hit about 35 to 40% of the marks. That's my email address. By the way, so anyone wants this presentation, just put a mail to me. I can forward that to you, or I can upload this presentation as well. So somebody had a TSD question. So what is the cutoff? So what I would suggest is that please mail me all your queries that are unanswered. I shall answer. I said mail me guys. Mail me your queries. Whatever is there in your mind, keep mailing me. So I've already given email ID, gejo@careerlauncher.com. I will mail you the presentation, but mail me your email ID. Yeah? Please put a mail. Gejo, please mail me this presentation. And I'm not, some of you had questions on certain problems. So for those, cutoff slide. Once again. Where is the cutoff slide? Yeah. How do you broadly categorize the kind of essays which may come in the XAT? Can't predict. It could be abstract. It can be anything. You really can't predict the kind of essay that is going to ask. But mostly it will be. So the best thing is that whatever is the topic, try and put some relevant current issues into it. Is GK marks calculated for the first round? No. GK marks is not calculated in the first round. Percentile will not have the GK marks. What should we start preparing for GDPI from our side? So what you can do with GDPI is that at least start with your PI in terms of introspecting, writing that statement of purpose. Prepare yourself for essays, because most of the B school ask for essays. Prepare yourself for GD by reading. And one of the things that is also going to happen very soon is that there will be a lot of sessions online as well for GDPI. Whenever that happens, please don't miss it. The question is, see, please note that, okay, this plus this is not equal to 28. This is independent. What he's basically saying is that you need to get more than this independently. You need to get more than this. You need to get more than this. You also need to get more than this. So obviously, one of the questions you would need to get more score. Which magazines? At least pick up the usual ones. For GDPI, pick up on political magazine, pick up on business magazine, and then you can handle it. Yeah, guys. Uh, it was a pleasure talking to you. Uh, I hope this session benefited you guys. Uh, I will still uh, still I will encourage you guys to mail to me. Uh, I will take normally I'll take time, not much time to reply, but these days I get a lot of mail, so if there is anything urgent, please do let me know. And for those of you guys who wanted some, I think some of you wanted some problem to be discussed. Yeah. So just mail me and give your phone number. I'll call you and we can discuss over the phone. Or maybe if you have a Skype, we can even Skype it. I think we can also do Skype. So let me. That's my Skype ID. Anyone you can add there and we can. uh, Yeah, we'll have session for teas as well. Don't worry. Yeah, you will receive that supplement. If you have not received from the SAT, pick it up from the CL center, please. You can't see my Skype ID. So let me type. XAT supplement is an additional set of questions for XAT. Yeah, which CL gives to students. So pick it up. Okay, guys. So thanks a lot. May God bless you all. Uh, and wish you the best for that. Yeah, guys. See you. I'm signing off.